Good morning. Welcome to Coach's IDP Studz and Rankings podcast for week 6. Today we're going to take a little bit of a look at some injury guys that going into week 6 we're kind of tracking to see who's going to be playing on Sunday. Tonight, obviously, with the Thursday night game, and then on Monday. So let's start out here with the Thursday night game. The Broncos against the Chiefs. Broncos injury. Frank Clark is out with illness. Baron Browning is out with a knee injury. Chiefs. Questionable is George Karlaftis. He's got a hamstring issue. And Tommy Townsend was questionable also, and he's their punter. So, for the Broncos, trying to fill some of those spots on the defensive line, to take care of the Clark situation. They've got some defensive ends that they can rotate in to help out there. I think they'll be okay. Kind of Frank Clark's kind of in his a little long in the tooth right now, and just trying to get through his injury and getting back on the field. Going now, we're going to talk about the Ravens and the Titans. Defensively, for the Ravens, we have Javian Clowney. He's got an illness. We're going to watch him, see if he's ready to go on Sunday. And Marlon Humphrey with a foot injury. They talk about him coming back this week. So if he comes back and he's on your waiver wire, he's going to be a really good add if he's healthy and ready to go. For the Titans, Azeez Al-Shaair has got a neck injury, and Luke Gifford, hamstring. Elijah Molden, hamstring also. So for the Titans, we want to watch the injury report for those guys there. Moving on down here for the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons. For the Commanders, Christian Holmes has a hamstring injury. I'm going to kind of keep our eye on him and see if he is able to contribute on Sunday. And then for the Falcons, defensive end, Bud Dupree, he's got a wrist injury. My guess is if it's not broken or under surgery, he's going to wrap that up. He's going to play. But we'll keep our eye on those guys going into Sunday's games. Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears. Right now for Minnesota, defensive end Marcus Davenport's got an elbow injury. I think I read earlier in the week that he's expecting to play, but we'll have to keep our eye on that until we get the final word for sure. And then for the Bears, Bears are fighting some stuff on the defensive side. Kyler Gordon has got a hand injury. Jalen Johnson's got a hamstring. And Terrell Smith has an ankle injury. So those are guys that, we're going to have to find replacements for if they do not play. And also with it being a bye week, that kind of makes it a little tougher also. So Seattle Seahawks, Cincinnati Bengals. Seahawks, Kobe Bryant has got a toe injury. Artie Burns, hamstring. And we talked last week about Jamal Adams with concussion. Not sure if he's still in the protocol, but I know he was pretty woozy on Monday night. So we'll keep our eye on that and see if he plays. If he plays, if he's healthy, good to go, I would play him. He's that good. If there's a question mark or what have you, and if you have another option, that would be probably better. For the Bengals, linebacker Devin Harper has got a hamstring, and Akeem Davis Gaither has a knee injury. So for the Bengals, we're going to keep an eye on those guys and see if they'll be able to contribute to our teams. Some of these names are guys that we're first time hearing about, but again, with injuries and the bye weeks, they become relevant. And so you've got to keep your eye on the waiver wire. And some points are a lot better than no points. So, San Francisco 49ers and Cleveland Browns. 49ers look like their defense is pretty clean, ready to go. They didn't have any significant injuries against Dallas, so they're pretty healthy and ready for Sunday. The Browns defensively, Myles Garrett is dealing with a foot injury. My guess is he'll play, and him playing 2 downs instead of 3 is a lot better than some guys playing 3 downs. So let's keep our eye on Myles Garrett and see what the official word is for him on Sunday. New Orleans Saints and the Houston Texans. For the Saints, Cam Jordan is dealing with a back injury. Anytime you're messing with a back injury in a collision sport, that's not good. Safety Lonnie Johnson's got a hamstring, and safety JT Gray has a hamstring. They're both dealing with. So keep our eye on them and see if they play or not on Sunday. Texans, Malik Collins has an injury here. I just lost my screen. Sorry, apologize for that. Well, technology is great when it works, right? Okay, back to it. For the Texans, defensive tackle Malik Collins has a abdomen stomach issue, something that keep a close eye on, see if he plays. Linebacker Christian Harris has a concussion. Not sure if he's in the protocol or not. If he is, we need to look elsewhere for a replacement. And a nice replacement for him would be on his same team would be Henry Toto. He has been filling in and coming on very strong here in the last couple of weeks or so. Also, linebacker Blake Cashman for the Texans. He's got a wrist injury, and Shaquille Griffin is dealing with a calf injury. So those are some injuries that we need to keep our eye on and moving forward, see where they're at. The Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts look like they're pretty clean on the defensive side right now. So that's a great start to the week going into this big conference game with the Jaguars. Defensively for Jacksonville, linebacker Devin Lloyd is dealing with a thumb injury, and Christian Braswell has a hamstring injury. So obviously keeping our eye on those guys moving forward. Carolina Panthers, Miami Dolphins. Panthers have Derek Brown is dealing with a knee and ankle injury. I don't know if it's the knee is bothered because the ankle's weak or vice versa. So just keep our eye on that. A big one for Carolina going into this week is Brian Burns, defensive end linebacker, dealing with an ankle injury. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. And safety, Xavier Woods, dealing with a hamstring injury. Moving to the Dolphins, one of the guys that I've always talked about all year long and just trying to get him healthy is Jalen Phillips, defensive end, dealing with an oblique injury. I don't know what the timetable is on that. We want to make sure that when he is healthy and he's ready to go, we get him back in our lineups. Cornerback Nick Needham has an Achilles injury. So we've been dealing with a lot of Achilles stuff here lately, ever since Aaron Rodgers went down. We'll move on here to the New England Patriots against the Las Vegas Raiders. Patriots are really scuffling here on both sides of the ball, but defensively they've lost some really good guys. Obviously the big one is the defensive end linebacker Matthew Judon. He's got the elbow injury, had surgery, hoping to come back here in less than 2 months. But again, we'll see where they're at in the standings and what their chances are for the playoffs before he probably steps back on the field. Trey Flowers has a foot injury. Cornerback Jonathan Jones has an ankle injury. Another cornerback, Sean Wade, dealing with a shoulder injury. And another defensive back, Cody Davis, with a knee injury. So they're scrounging around on finding guys on their practice team to fill those roles going into the game against the Raiders. Max Crosby has a little bit of a knee injury, so we definitely want to keep our eye on that. If he's good to go, we definitely want to get him in our lineup. Cornerback Nate Hobbs, ankle injury. David Long Jr. has an ankle injury, and Marcus Epps dealing with a knee injury. So those guys we want to keep an eye on. Maybe able to fill those guys with other guys that are on the Raiders or somebody else that's on the waiver wire. Okay, Detroit Lions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Lions. The big one for me is defensive back Brian Branch. I'm really high on him. He is a fantastic defensive rookie, and I've got him in quite a few of my teams. So I'm keeping a close eye on him to see if we can get him back in, but he's dealing with an ankle injury. Buccaneers look pretty clean on the defensive side for injuries, so no big injury reports there. For the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams, for the Cardinals, defensive lineman Jonathan Ledbetter got a finger injury. Probably take that up, be ready to go. Cornerback Garrett Williams dealing with a knee injury. And safety Jalen Thompson has a hamstring. Jalen Thompson is one of their top defensive guys, so we want to definitely keep our eye on him. For the Rams, their star linebacker Ernest Jones dealing with a knee injury a little bit, and Christian Roseboom has a thigh injury. So we're going to definitely watch and see if Ernest Jones especially is on the field on Sunday. Okay, Philadelphia Eagles against New York Jets. For the Eagles, cornerback Darius Slay. That's a big one for them on the defensive backfield. Safety Justin Evans has a knee injury, and safety Sidney Brown is dealing with a hamstring injury. So their secondary is becoming a little bit depleted. So they're going to be hunting some guys on their own team, on their practice team, to step up, fill those roles. For the Jets, cornerback DJ Reed has got a concussion. Brandon Eccles, hamstring. And cornerback Justin Hardy has a hamstring. So those guys, I believe DJ Reed is a starter. The other two are backups. So we want to keep our eye on Reed and see if he plays, is cleared with his concussion. New York Giants, Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. So the Giants are kind of in the same scenario as the Patriots. They're kind of beat up everywhere. So defensively, linebacker Micah McFadden, ankle injury. That's a big one. Starting inside linebacker. Deontay Banks, rookie corner, dealing with an ankle injury. And Cordell Flaunt has an ankle injury. So we want to definitely keep an eye on that. They've got a lot of injuries on the offensive side, but defensively, they've got two big ones. So for the Bills, edge rusher Greg Ruissant dealing with a foot injury, and Dane Jackson also dealing with a foot injury. So keep an eye on those guys going into Sunday night. So Monday night, they haven't really come out with the injury report yet for Monday. So just keep your eye open on Sunday. And you may have to jump on that waiver wire early, on Sunday or Sunday evening to fill a spot or two on your defense going forward. So that's the injury report for week 6 for the IDP Studz and rankings. We'll talk about a few couple guys that maybe I can give you an idea who to maybe pick up on the defensive side. These guys, hopefully will be able to step in and help you with some of the holes that you may have going into this week because of the bye or the injury parts. So let's see if we can find a couple of guys here that can really help solidify this week for you, help you out. So we talked a little bit about at linebacker for Houston with Harris out, Henry Teoto, linebacker. He's probably going to fill in for Harris if Harris is not cleared with his concussion problems. One injury that I did not mention that I probably should, and is a big one, is for the Buffalo Bills. Matt Milano going down with a season-ending injury. Also, that is going to contribute to having to find younger guys to fill his role. So with him being out for the rest of the season, look for Terrell Dodson, linebacker for the Buffalo, to step in and get some reps there. He's going to compete with Rashaan Evans, for that spot. But I look forward to Dodson to take over that role, or at least get 2/3 of the snaps compared to Evans getting a third. So Jack Gibbons, the linebacker for Tennessee, he's somebody that could help fill in also off the waiver wire and help you out. Kawan Anderson for Pittsburgh, and he had an outstanding, week 5 against Baltimore Ravens. He racking up 6 solos, 1 sack, 3 tackles for a loss. He's I believe Pittsburgh is on a bye this week, but he's somebody that's going to really get more reps as the season goes on, and I think he's somebody that we definitely need to, um, maybe stash him a week early, put him on our roster, and be able to use him next week, week 7 and on. Some other ones to kind of keep our eye on. Brian Cashman for linebacker for Houston, David Long for Miami, Nicholas Morrow, we've talked about him for Philadelphia linebacker. So those guys there are other guys that should be or could be on your waiver wire. A big one out there, Hassan Reddick, who is a linebacker defensive end for the Eagles. He's been dropped in some leagues just off of not necessarily production, but it seems like teams are running away from him, and so he's not getting in as many tackles as normal. But with everybody having holes with the bye weeks, if he's on your waiver wire, you want to definitely grab him and put him in your lineup. We talked a little bit about Marcus Davenport, Minnesota. He's dealing with a little bit of an injury, but if he's healthy and he's on the field, he's a great pickup. He's had a couple good weeks here. Last week he was in the week 5 loss, but he had 2 solos, 2 assists, 1 sack, and 1 tackle for loss. So that's pretty good for a guy on the defensive side when your team loses, but you're still putting out the production that you need to in an IDP league. Jalen Carter now has got himself in pretty good shape. I know he's double teamed a lot on the defensive line, but he's moving much better down the line of scrimmage and he's making plays. So again, if Jalen Carter is out on your waiver wire, he's a good stash to have. Defensive tackles usually don't score as much as the defensive ends, but solid points each week help win your league. Let's talk a little bit about defensive backs. Isaiah Simmons for the New York Giants is pretty much a must-add now, especially with Micah McFadden's injury. Isaiah's going to see 3 downs. He's going to be out there. He's got a dual position eligibility at linebacker and safety. Spends a lot of time up by the line of scrimmage. Big, long arm guy who can make plays and run down ball carriers. So he's one that I definitely would look to add moving forward. He had 7 solos and 2 assists last week. So that's huge. And again, with McFadden's injury, he's going to step in and have a role. Kareem Jackson, safety, Denver, had a really good week 5, 6 solos, 4 assists. That's marking the fourth time this season he's finished with 4 or more solo tackles. So he's a ball hawk. He's around the ball quite a bit and makes plays and is doing things that they need. As bad as Denver has been early in the season, he's still putting up solid numbers each week. Kirby Joseph, safety, Detroit, could be an add to cover for Brian Branch, who's dealing with the ankle injury. Not sure if he's going to play this week or not, but Joseph would be a good fill-in his spot. as he's last week he had 4 solos and an assist, and played a big part in the secondary, in coverage wise. So take a look, see if he's available, and look for him to establish a starting spot until Branch comes back. And the last one, I'd make sure that Jalen Thompson is not sitting out there on the waiver wire. He's a safety for Arizona. Talked a little bit about him with the injury report, but he is a fantastic defensive back and high in the rankings. So, take a look. Make sure that somebody didn't drop somebody they probably shouldn't have, and take advantage of it if they did. Well, that's the show for this week, podcast for this week. I appreciate it. Hopefully everybody does well this week. Gets a lot of points from their defensive players. Again, defense wins championships. And I want to thank Fantasy Holics for allowing me to do this. We're trying to get better and better each week that we go. And thank you for all the listeners, and thank you for the people that listen after we post. Any questions, please submit them to IDP_Studz, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you, and have a great weekend and a great football fantasy league time.